What was the craziest thing you ever did in high school? Be free to tell your own stories in the comment section. One time, in an assembly of the entire high school, one of the teachers asked that anyone who identified as LGBT should stand up. 2 people, out of an audience of 500, stood up, the one really stereotypically gay guy who everyone knew about and me. That was how I came out. I think that's probably the craziest thing I did in high school. I kind of became a prostitute. Don't worry, it's not what you're thinking. When I was 16, this freshman girl, whom I knew through a friend, asked me if I would tutor her in math. Math was never my strong suit, but she was cute, so I agreed. I went over to her house a couple times after school and faked my way through tutoring her. We would go down in the basement and study for an hour, then her mom would give me $20. It didn't take long for her to admit the real reason she had asked me of all people to help with her math homework. She had a crush on me. One thing led to another and we ended up fooling around every time I came over. It was a great setup. We would go downstairs, do our thing, then I would collect my hard-earned money. Genius. Until her mom caught us. That was an awkward exit to make. I still saw her sometimes after that, but now it was costing me money instead. But then, and this is where the story gets fucked up, the mom actually invited me back to tutor this girl a few months later, and resumed paying me. Why would she do that? My theory, although I wasn't actually teaching the girl anything about math, her grades were going up because she was working harder in order to make it look like I was. Maybe the mom decided that was worth $20 a week and a blind eye. I don't think that necessarily makes me a prostitute. Just a guy who got paid to have sex. For senior prom in 1967, my mother, an accomplished seamstress, made my prom dress from a picture she saw in a magazine. It was absolutely gorgeous. The problem was, I had always been such a tomboy and I couldn't picture myself in such a girly girl dress. Of course, I didn't tell my mother that. I would have chewed my arm off before making her feel her hard work was unappreciated. The day of the prom arrived. I didn't know which would be worse, wearing the dress, or trying to walk in the matching heels, another girly thing I had always tried my best to avoid. Mama and Dad were so excited. They didn't get to see their oldest daughter dressed up very often. I could hear Daddy downstairs, getting his camera ready. Joanne, did you see the box of flash bulbs? It was right here on the table. Joe, you put 'em in your shirt pocket 10 minutes ago. Oh, yes, here they are. Kathy, Doug will be here in a few minutes. Are you ready? Is there anything I can help you with? No. Thanks, Mama. Standing in front of the full-length mirror, great. Just great. I look like a frilly girly girl. Doug is going to laugh his ass off. Then I had an idea. I would prank Doug. Suddenly, I heard a knock at the front door. Almost finished. There, done. As I carefully descended our front stairs, I saw Doug smile. He was pleased. Damn, babe, you look so beautiful. Then midway down I stopped and smiled, showing my blacked out 2 front teeth. Doug's face turned white. Holy shit. Are you okay? What are we going to do? Should we go to the emergency room? Mama's feathers were ruffled. Catherine Joe, tell him the truth and get back up those stairs. In my freshman year in P class, we had 2 bullies who were pals. Larry and Scott would choose a victim, jump them in the dressing room, pull down their victim's pants, baby powder the victim's ass, and throw them out the window into the yard so that the rest of the school could look out the window and chuckle at the spectacle. Seeing as these 2 were gigantic farm boys, us littler guys had no chance. The coaches either didn't know what was going on or didn't care, as they never got punished for it. They got suspended for a few days, during which we rejoiced at not having to go through the baby powder ritual. They'd been caught skipping class. During that 3-day period, we victims got together and decided to see what could be done about the situation. One of the boys mused that when the bullies attacked, none of us jumped in to help the victim. And there were at least 24 of us. Larry and Scott returned. Like usual, they scanned for a victim, and settled on Charlie. They grabbed him and a struggle ensued. But this time, things had changed. Without them realizing it, they were surrounded by 24 guys hell-bent on revenge. We didn't just pull down their pants, we stripped them naked. We not only baby powdered their ass, we dragged them to the shower, wet their hair, and then put baby powder in their hair. A few went to lock the entrance we used to get into the dressing room. We then carried them to the window and threw them out. In December, in snow. 2 naked baby powdered guys standing in the snow shivering like crazy, banging on the door demanding to be let in. They set up such a frenzy that people went to the windows to see what the fuss was about. Half the school now knew what Larry and Scott looked like naked. The coach came down and demanded to know what was going on. He unlocked the door and let 'em in. Strangely, no one knew how they got locked out or why they were naked. No one knew anything. We were all as innocent as newborn babes. We got chewed out and had to do extra laps, but it was worth it. For the rest of the time in high school, they were the target of ridicule. They both ended up dropping out as soon as they turned 16. No one was sorry to see them gone. I drank a jar of urine in front of my whole class. We had been instructed to bring in a jar of our urine, so they could be mixed together and then we'd do some tests on the mixture. As it happened, I was reading a book at the time by one of my favorite authors, Larry Niven. The book was called A Gift from Earth, and one of the main characters was, just like me, a high school student named Matt. And believe it or not, he found himself in the very same situation. I pretty much had to do it. I knew I would regret it forever if I didn't. His way of dealing with it was to bring a second jar, full of apple juice to class. See where this is going. When told to produce our jars, I pulled my jar of apple juice out, opened it up, sniffed it, and said, "I think I better run this through again," then drank it. The teacher of the class was also the vice principal. He told me to go and wait in his office. About 30 years later, I was at a rock festival in the same town and a girl mentioned it to me. She had not been there, she was not even in the same grade. I guess it got a real rise out of people. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to this channel for similar questions and answers. This is my first video, so sorry if anything was wrong.